Record one more time. All right.
One more time.
One more time. We're already recording, so we already are exposing that we fucked up the first time. All right. It's someone's again for another episode of Midcard Man, and we got over here Luis Cannon, and we got over there Sam Keola, the wrestling connoisseur. All right, so it is Sam in Hawaii because it's the only time that Sam can never record. Yeah. So go off, my dude. What are we talking about this week?
I don't know. You know, I mean, I caught up for last week's wrestling shows, I think, except for pay-per-views. I haven't caught up for pay-per-views yet. But I think the biggest news, of course, is the current passing of superstars lately.
Yeah.
I know it struck you pretty hard. I wasn't really aware of this wrestler, but it seems like a lot of people were. You know, I think even if you weren't very aware of her, you've probably seen her wrestle before. She wrestled on Wrestle Kingdom, and it's made some huge waves.
Yeah, she a couple years back, I think, was the first time she wrestled for Ring of Honor. They had a crossover with Stardom. I remember Sumi Sakai, who was one of their biggest, or I should say Ring of Honor's biggest female superstars, did a lot of work over in Stardom. She was traveling back and forth between Ring of Honor and Japan for a while in that year. And that was when she was working with specifically the stable Oerotai, which was led by Kagetsu, and kind of the protege that came out of that was Hana Kimura, who was only, I want to say, 20 at the time.
Okay, yeah. She was started 22.
Yeah. She started wrestling, I think, when she was like 16. Her mom is Kyoko Kimura, so definitely already a legacy. And then she kind of just grew from there. She left Oerotai, started up her own stable, Tokyo Cyber Squad. Yeah, she was probably, I think, one of the most popular wrestlers in Stardom.
Wow. I did just see that Japan is wanting to implement some cyberbullying laws because of her passing. So that's a huge, I think it's kind of a huge thing that, you know, country-wise, nationally, they're looking at implementing some things. Especially because I don't think a lot of people are touching on possibly the racial aspect that she suffered probably throughout her entire life.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, cyberbullying, but these things build. It's not just, you know, it doesn't just happen one day and then all of a sudden this sort of thing happens. This is a lifetime of bullying from all around. It's not just the recent internet thing, in my opinion. So, I mean, a lot of people I don't think are considering the racial tones, because I believe she was multiracial, correct?
Yes.
She was part Asian. Do you want to touch on that?
I mean, I'm very fortunate in that, as I relate in the sense that I'm also half Japanese, but here in Hawaii, I've never experienced anything negative about that. I have read about how half Japanese people are treated in Japan, and it made me a little apprehensive to go there. But then I realized that if anyone tries to screw with me, I'll just... So it's not something that I've ever, and I'm very fortunate of that, living in Hawaii. It's not something I've ever experienced any really negative backlash over.
I think that's where, like, we probably differ, since I grew up in the mainland.
Yeah.
You know, I think being multi-ethnic, it's twofold. It's been twofold for me. I mean, I can pass for white, so sometimes people don't know that I'm, you know, part Hawaiian, part Chinese, part whatever. And so you get an open door to it at times too. Like, by not even getting it firsthand, sometimes you can see it secondhand. Racism. And I've seen that plenty. growing up in the South. So yeah, I mean, I feel for that, what happened and everything. Racism is still very quite rampant. I mean, we see it. Some people are likely not to experience it. So I think that's such a huge part of this that people are really overlooking. That can really mess someone up, and then you tack other things onto it, and you don't look at the underlying aspects of what's happened before. I think even Japan implementing these cyberbullying laws, they need to reflect on society itself, and so okay, maybe we don't treat people who are half Japanese this way or whatever. And it's not just Japan, it's worldwide. I mean, like I said, in the United States, racism is still very, very huge.
It's super weird. So I don't know. I wasn't really hurt by this, but more confused. So as you know, I go to watch wrestling on the mainland a bunch when I can. Usually bigger shows if possible. I went on the Jericho cruise, all that. So a couple of the friends that I've made on the Jericho cruise, it's because I have no savings. Like, that's what it is. It's my savings is gone. It's all wrestling shirts and wrestling trips. I have pictures on my phone and shirts on my back, but I don't got much else. But it's fine. It's fine. But it's weird how being multiracial isn't really as big of a thing on the mainland as it is here. Or I should say, maybe the opposite. It's a much bigger, it's a bigger deal on the mainland as it is here. Over here, yeah, everybody's point out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I was talking to someone that I had met on the mainland, and I'll casually say, oh, yeah. Well, I'm kind of like this because, Japanese or Portuguese or Hawaiian or Korean or something like that. And they were like, wait, I thought you said you were this. Wait, I thought you said you were that. And I'm like, yeah, I'm all of those.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, you're not. You can't be. You don't look like all those. I'm like, well, I am. So getting accused like I was making it up or lying was kind of weird. I can't not be. It's kind of, I was born like this, so I can't pick that I'm one over another because I'm all of them.
I had one experience in Oregon, and an older lady I worked with, and it come up, multi-ethnicity and whatnot of what I am. And, I mentioned Hawaiian and I mentioned Chinese, and she was just like, wait, what? She goes, but Hawaiians are Chinese. I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, I mean, when, World War II, and then Japan took over. And I was like, what? Wait, those are two different.
Yeah.
And first no. And then that's two different ethnicities. That's not. Huh?
Yeah.
It's surprising, the stupidity level, ignorance level that you will meet. So.
Yeah, definitely surprising to me because, I've never lived anywhere else. So I only started really seeing this when I would go off to the mainland for adventures by myself, which I've only started doing in the past couple of years. And yeah, it's a trip. It's a trip. Having to explain to people that just because you're born in Hawaii, you're not Hawaiian. That it's an actual ethnicity with its own language. Yeah, it's definitely very interesting. I'm lucky in that as far as the circles of wrestling friends I've made, for the most part, people are usually just like, yeah, that's awesome. And they accept it as new knowledge that they learn, rather than being like, no, that's not what I know, so that's not true. So I'm lucky there. I've been very fortunate with that.
Like, I don't know. We can go on and on about this, but this is a week full of, I guess, wrestling related topics that doesn't really have to do with wrestling, except that it's just these people are performers and whatnot. We lost Shaq Gaspard about over a week ago now, and then of course Hana Kimura. So it's very sad. And then right on the heels of the cyberbullying and her passing, we get another popular podcaster attack Alexa Bliss.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how this also has split a lot of fans, because some people are like, well, he's attacking her character. It's like, no.
Is he though? I mean, I would love to hear his justification. Yeah.
Right.
On how this focuses on the character of Alexa Bliss versus the performer. Because if you listen to what he says, it doesn't really slant towards the character. It's not a commentary on her character and how she's performing that character.
Right. It's how the actress is performing as the character, or the talent is performing as the character. So it's very much an attack on the person behind the stage name. I mean, it's a stage name. So I mean, when you have someone portraying a character as a stage name, and people in Hollywood do this all the time, those aren't really their names usually.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we know this.
Well, I mean, especially for
singers,
SAG,
musicians, everybody. Yeah.
So a lot of times performers have to register their name in different unions, guilds, etc. So if you were born with the name and it's already registered, guess what? You can't have that name. You've got to find another one.
Yeah.
So usually they'll make slight changes to their name, or switch from having, instead of their birth name, they'll switch to their mother's maiden name and use that or whatnot. People try to keep pieces of themselves, but a lot of times it's very much like, if you didn't get to it first, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. So I thought that was really interesting. People really trying to defend this. And essentially to me what happened is, I mean, this is point blank, this was sexual harassment.
Yeah.
I mean, argue about whatever you want, whether it's the character or not. But it was sexual harassment, any which way you look at it. That's again, like, it's one of those things that just seem to be going over people's head.
And it was, it just happened. It just happened so soon after the whole Hana Kimura thing that I was like, are you dumb? Like, now it's never really the time to do that kind of stuff. But now is especially not the time.
Yeah.
And then people got upset. Fans of that guy attacked Alexa Bliss because other fans, right, of Alexa Bliss went and doxed this guy. Found his parents' phone number and all that. And I was just like, dude, what do you expect? I mean, I don't condone involving his family in it.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't, because his family didn't do nothing. It's all him. Right. I think he should absolutely face consequences for talking about people like that, because it just was unnecessary. Like I listened to it and I'm like, why does this matter? Why does this matter? Why are we like?
I mean, we often constructively criticize, I think, performances and what we see and everything, but I think we usually try to go out of the way to distinguish between the character and the talent. And even if we say like, gosh, like, I used to not be a fan of Baron Corbin at all. We say he needs this.
He's improved a ton.
Stuff, right? And we will go back and we'll say, hey, look, this guy's improved. This guy's done this. This guy's done that. We don't what we don't do is refer to them in harassment styles like sexually harassing them, or you don't talk about, well, gee, John Cena out there, he must suck those 5 moves of doom. He really must need to suck a dick. We don't say these sorts of things, and it's interesting. Like it's purely a sexual harassment because he only does it to women. He only attacks particular women.
Well, and my on the other side of this is, who cares if they do? I mean, you hear a lot of stories about women having to do certain things to be able to be taken seriously or to receive training. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of stories about Lita back when she was first training, because, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And I don't think, my problem with this is that he treated it like, well, obviously she couldn't do it anyway else. So it's like, dude, come on. At least, you have to respect the fact that even if she did these things, which I'm not saying she did, I don't know. I know that was a story that was going around. It's a rumor that's been around for quite some time about Alexa Bliss. But who cares? Mm-hmm. Let a girl live. I mean, if she, right. if that helped her, then I'm happy, because then, she was able to figure out a way to break through and achieve some level of success, mm-hmm. And I think she's a talented performer. I don't think maybe technically in the ring she's the best, but as far as character work, as far as being that character on the mic and being able to elicit responses from people, whether she's a heel or a face, mm-hmm. I think that's an incredible talent.
Yeah.
So
what he's saying is true. If he's saying like sleeping your way to the top or whatever is true, you got to stay at the top. So
yeah,
you don't. And you can easily.
That only gets you so far. It's the champ.
Good morning. Why are you awake? Okay, back in bed. Okay. It's morning.
Yeah.
It is.
Don't give her coffee.
Whiskey. Anyway, so
I think my big problem with it was that it was
tasteless.
Whether or not if she did or didn't do these things, the fact that it was looked down as like, well, look, she had to do, like, it made it so much more degrading than it needed to be. Yes, and that's what bothered me. And it was disrespectful in the sense that it was like, well, look at her, she's talentless because of this. And it's like, mm-hmm. No, that ain't it. Like,
that she like, look at her like in bed, she probably just lays there. And I think that one too, just such sexual harassment. I don't even know where you go from there. I think for one, I think there's possibly ground for legal action. Him saying these sorts of things, because it's not just him criticizing her. This is an attack on a person.
Yeah.
So it's it would it hold up in court? I don't know. It would depend, but I guarantee she probably could get better lawyers than he could.
Absolutely.
So it all depends on that too. But that is absolutely like what one has to do with the other. Even if you could consider this in any logical form, I don't know. I have no idea what that would have to do with her wrestling ability. So again, it's just pure sexual harassment.
Yeah,
I
for
don't
me,
think
it's yeah.
It's just the fact that we're even giving time to it is ridiculous.
I think the chord that it struck with me was, we just talked about how this kind of stuff hurt a person so much that they took their own life, and now we're just back on the same bullshit. Like, seriously?
Yeah.
Like, when by the time that came out, I was like, Hana has not been gone for a week yet, and we're already back to doing this.
Just days.
We couldn't
Literally
we couldn't hold on a little bit longer, and at least pretend for a little bit longer that we aren't awful, because that's awful.
It is. It's awful. And then I think on the flip side, like, some Bliss fans, who are sending death threats. This is just as bad.
Yeah. So I understand defending your favorite against someone you think is scum. I don't care for the takes of that guy either. I don't. But it's the best thing to do? Just disengage. Just be like, and I'll admit there's times where I've gotten angry, but I don't think I don't recall. Sometimes I get drunk and do stuff. So if I did something like that, that's terrible of me, and I apologize for real. But I don't think I've ever sent any wrestlers any death threats. Ever. Regardless of whether or not I like them. Not even Seth Rollins. Not even Seth Rollins.
Not even Seth Rollins.
Not even Seth Rollins.
Who is your Messiah, by the way?
I sent that to our lovely friend DP, because I was like, he will appreciate this, especially when he came out to the new music. I'm like, here you go, the Messiah you've been waiting for.
It is. Yeah, I don't know any other wrestling news you can think of.
There was Double or Nothing on Saturday.
I didn't watch it yet.
Oh man.
So I started watching.
It was okay.
I got like the undercard, a lot of the undercard watch. We have new champs in WWE.
Yes, we do.
Cruz finally.
So happy. I love that guy.
Yeah. And we saw Angel Garza beat Kevin Owens.
That hurt me a little bit.
Did it hurt you a little bit?
It did.
He's fresh and he's new there.
I get it. I mean, it's time. Yeah.
You gotta do it.
It just feels like it happened so fast.
Trying to relate it to something in the past, but I can't really think of anything. I mean, of course, Angel Garza comes from a big wrestling family.
Yeah.
He's talented. There's no doubt about it. He's
charismatic.
He's super charismatic. This kid's the future, honestly. If WWE doesn't capitalize now, when would they?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I have a feeling we're gonna see Angel Garza U.S. champion before the end of the year. I think we'll go into Apollo Crews versus Garza feud, and I think by maybe SummerSlam. I think it'll be sooner than later. SummerSlam, Survivor Series, but I think we're going to see Garza with some gold. Garza for the gold.
I mean, besides the Cruiserweight title?
Yeah. Because I think WWE's in this transitionary period, and I think they really got to look to build some stars now. In other news, we're going to get Lashley versus McIntyre pretty soon, and I can't wait to see this TNA main event on a WWE pay-per-view.
In other news, Drew Gulak re-signed. Hopefully means he got a raise.
I guarantee he did, because he got Barry Bloom as his agent now, who is a big-time agent for a lot of other wrestling stars. Interesting that he got him as an agent and then gets re-signed by WWE. So this guy doesn't play around. He's a major agent. So he probably got a pretty good raise. WWE needs Gulak.
Yeah. Did you let's talk a little bit before you have to go. Let's talk a little bit refocus on wrestling news. Another news, Deonna Purrazzo, who recently was released by the WWE, was resurfaced in Impact, which I'm excited about because I love Deonna. I think she's super talented. I love her whole virtuosa thing. I think it's beautiful, and I'm excited. Impact's women's roster seems to be super duper stacked.
Yeah, I mean, it's stacked just with Tessa Blanchard alone, and then you have what's her name? I can't remember her name off the top of my head now.
Oh my God! There's Jordan Grace. There's Taya Valkyrie. There's Jessica Havoc. There's Rosemary.
Who signed just not recently, but she was in AEW for a hot minute.
Kylie Ray.
Yes. So excited. Like, they got a lot of new talent coming in over there. Plus all the ones you mentioned, like Jordan Grace and Taya Valkyrie. I wonder if
Sooyoung, who is still our women's champion over at Oos.
Was that?
Sooyoung also re-signed with Impact, and she's still currently the women's champion over at Oos. So
a lot of talented women over there. I think the female roster alone is good for Impact Wrestling.
Absolutely.
I mean, honestly, people talk about how stacked WWE, how talented WWE women's roster is. But man, you can't blink an eye at the Impact roster. I mean, usually their names does not pop up, or they're like, oh, well, AEW women, WWE women, NXT women's. But the Impact roster is pretty stacked.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. It's undeniable. You know, like Tessa is undeniable.
It's true.
And did you see, to transition from Impact, did you watch the ladder match in AEW?
From the
Double or Nothing? Yes.
No, not yet.
Oh, okay, well then I can't talk about it.
Well, I do have to go here in just a moment so you can continue talking, I guess.
No, it's not fun talking to myself. It's not.
No?
I do it all the time.
Much as you talk.
Oh no, talking to myself is not satisfying at all. No, it's just, screaming into the void. Which I do anyway, but good. I need it.
You need it. We need a podcast with Abyss. We can scream into the abyss.
That would be dope. I would 100% make it happen.
No.
Pull some strings. Call your dudes.
Oh, my dudes.
All your connections. Get John Fair on this.
Oh yes, the Fair, John Fair. Yeah, he needs to jump in on this.
He does.
Or Trucker Kyle doesn't have any connections, but he has a horn.
And that's the best, really.
Can't really pass that up.
I don't have a horn. Do you have?
I don't either.
Do you have a horn?
I have a watch. And my watch is what? Yeah, it's saying it's time. So this is like a news. This is like a news.
Vader time.
Vader time. This is like a news episode.
Yeah, like I had a nice solid half hour.
Yeah, this has been your weekly news.
This has been Midcard Mana. This is Midcard Mana signing off for this week. Sam Keola, the Wrestling Connoisseur. Loose Cannon.